Hello and welcome back to Swapnil's analysis. I am Swapnil. Today we are going to discuss a very lovely and one of my favorite poem, I Felt Funeral in My Brain by Emily Dickinson. Now Emily Dickinson, she is such a sort of a poet who does not require any introduction. But one thing is worth mentioning here that Emily had a very lonely life, and there was some pressure within her family upon her that she should not write poetry. She was forbidden from writing poetry. Therefore, whatever poems she had written, she kept hidden from other members of her family, or she sent all those poems to her sister in law. So, Emily, she always wanted to be a poet. She always wanted to express her feelings through the poetry, and therefore, because of the pressure from her family, and because of the contemporary situation, Emily Dickinson she could not publish her poems in her lifetime. All her poems are published after her death, and immensely they are very popular, no doubt. So today the poem is under discussion. Is I felt funeral in my brain, and one of the very striking thing about Emily Dickinson is that she always use a very strong images to express her feelings. So here funeral, drum, beating, trading, and all other images means coffin, soul. All these images which are reflected in this poem, they are very very attentive, very very attractive, where a reader he or she would not skip those images. It will be very difficult for them to skip those images used by Emily Dickinson. So what is the poem about? The poem is about how a person he loses his sanity gradually, how a person he becomes mad gradually because of the problem he or she is facing in her life. So here the speaker of the poem is that we just consider the speaker as her because the writer of the poem is a female one. So the speaker here she wants to convey the feelings that how she totally became insane, how she gradually lost her insanity. So here funeral means she felt a funeral. We all have been one or another time to the funeral, or at least we have seen the funeral procession, all the rituals of funeral of all the religions we are, or and all the cultures we are well aware of. But here we have not felt the funeral. We have been to the funeral, but we have not felt the funeral. Here the speaker of the poem, she is feeling the funeral in her brain. Means she is so sad, but she does not wish to tell others why she was so sad. That is the important thing here. And therefore, because she was unable to express her sorrow, or she was unable to share her sorrow with others, she gradually becomes insane step by step. And that process has been described here by Emily Dickinson through such a very marvelous yet saddening poem. So let us start. So there are five stanzas in the poem. Each stanza, as it is the style of Emily Dickinson, each stanza contains four lines. So let us discuss stanza by stanza. First stanza. I felt a funeral in my brain, and mourners to and fro kept treading till it seemed that sense was breaking through. So here Emily is describing about an incident. That funeral means, let us consider that Emily was very sad, or the speaker, she was very sad. And what happens generally when we are very sad, when we do not talk with others, then naturally others, they ask us question, they start badgering us that why are you so sad, what has happened with you, you are not looking your normal self. So this thing Emily has considered as a funeral, that this is a kind of a funeral, because what happens at the funeral, everyone asks to the deceased family members, and they all have the sympathies that we are very sad, that for your great loss and all other things. So here she's feeling that as if she has died, and all the people, they are asking her that why she was dead. This is the thing. Therefore, she's saying that I felt a funeral because she was lonely and she had no other family members, the speaker. So, naturally, it is a kind of a thing that the mourners who had uh, came for her funeral, they were asking questions as if to her dead body. And while her brain was still active, therefore, only her brain could feel the funeral or the sadness while her body did not. Therefore, she says, I felt funeral in my brain. And mourners to and fro. And mourners to means all the people they had gathered around her dead body. And all the people, in a way, asking question to the dead body of the speaker, as if she was dead, if we assume. But the process here is about the speaker who does not want to share the reasons of her sadness, and people they kept badgering her that why are you looking so sad, what has happened with you, please tell us. But she has kept mum, she doesn't want to say anything. Therefore she says this kept trading till it seemed that sense was breaking through. Trading means here they kept asking her the reasons behind her sadness. Therefore, the trading, as if the people they had come to her funeral and they were questioning the dead body, why she was dead. Then, second stanza. And when they all were seated, a service like a drum kept beating till I thought my mind was going numb. Then what happened when you are sad? When the other relatives, your friends, neighbors, when they ask you the reason behind your sad, and when you don't share, and you do not want to share all those things, then what happens? That people they start gossiping about you. That look at something has happened to her, but she doesn't wish to share the things with us. And therefore, finally, everyone gives up and they stop asking you. But this beating drum is like that gossiping. They start gossiping about you that something has happened to her, but she is not telling us. She is not informing us. And this beating drum then spreads everywhere that something has happened to her. Some Therefore she is behaving so strange these days. This is the another symbolic meaning which Dickinson here wants to inform us, that when we are sad and when we do not talk with others, or when we do not share our feelings with others, they thereafter start gossiping about us. That's what this beating term implies. Therefore she says that they came, then they were the people they were mourning at her funeral, then they all were seated. Then the funeral service began, like the drum kept beating. The sound of drum kept beating and beating means here one of the critic of Emily Dickinson, he has interpreted as if that this funeral ritual was taking place inside the mind of Emily Dickinson. And therefore, her brain it got numb because of that sound of beating. But here, my personal opinion is that she got she started feeling numb inside her brain because she wanted to keep all her feelings to herself because she was a very private person. The speaker here, she was very private person and she wanted to keep all her feelings to herself. But neighbors and all her family members, they started gossiping about her, and that thing made her brain, her feelings very nervous, very insensitive to her, like a numb, feeling less. Numb means feeling less. Third stanza. And then I heard them lift a box, a creak across my soul, with those same boots of lead again. Then space began to toll. So what happened? Then in the third stanza, we assume that the speaker shut herself inside her room without even interaction with the outside world. So immediately that this reference to the box means to the coffin. Box is here representing the coffin. So therefore, what happened that when people, they did not get any information, and we just assume that she did not leave her house. The speaker, she did not leave her house, or the her relatives or neighbor, they did not see her for, let us say, couple of days. Then she immediately started that she must have died, and therefore she is saying here it is all the process of becoming mad. She is explaining that then I heard them lift a box, means this them means the relatives, the neighbors and all the people, they were started thinking that okay, now she is dead. Why? Because she had been very sad for last couple of weeks. Now she must have been dead because we have not seen her for a couple of days, or we have not heard from her. So in this way, and therefore when she realized that all this thing, then there was a creak in her soul, as if the people, they were carrying her dead body with a very heavy boot. Means here there is no reference of the people, only the boots of lead, very heavy boot. They were carrying her body, they were as if walking on her soul, and her soul creaked as if the old wooden floor. That is the very striking image. That's why I like Emily Dickinson. Then what happens? That then she did not try to convince anyone else. Then in the fourth stanza, she imagines her soul, or she herself has gone into the heaven. And this sound of bell is the sound of the society, the sound of the people. The bell here represents the evolution, the science also, and the society also. As all the heavens were a bell, and being but an ear, and eye and silence, some strange race, wrecked solitary here. So when she went into the heaven, she still heard the ringing sound of the bell. And immediately thereafter, she says that I and silence. See here, what I am saying in the first two stanza, which I have interpreted, that silence and she was a kind of a companion. She did not share the feelings of her with others. And therefore, here she is saying that I and silence, some strange race, means as if we are not the normal human beings, we belong to some different race. We are not the humans, wrecked solitary here, and we are, means silence, my companion, and I, we are here lonely, means loneliness, silence, and the speaker. I means the speaker. This is the reflective, means she is not talking about the actual funeral. She is actually talking about the thing, when you do not share with the others, they immediately start gossiping about you. They immediately start spread rumors about you, and that is the thing which had made this speaker very mad when she realized all these things. Therefore, the last stanza is really very important. And then a plank in reason broke, and I dropped down and down and hit a world at every plunge and finished knowing then. Then suddenly, this is the process that when she lost control over her feelings, over her surroundings and over her mind, as if she was standing on a plank high platform, and later on she slept or she fell down into an abyss, and then thereafter she could not remember anything. So the poem is about how the person who is feeling really very sad but who doesn't wish to share with others his feelings, then how the society reacts, how the relatives reacts, how his family member reacts, and how he then becomes insane, and then what happens thereafter. The speaker doesn't inform us this. So what exactly happened if she has really died? Because since don't know when, we human beings are pretty much interested in what happens when we die. So here also the poem ends when the speaker dies and she doesn't inform us there what happens to her after that. So what you think about this poem? If you have different take, another take, please let me know through the comment box, and thank you for watching.